Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
Well, Chris, it is another band here on the Classic Metal Show. The name of the band is called Daredevil Squadron, and the name of that tune there was called Back Lounge. And you and I have been to a couple back lounges, not necessarily together, but you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, nothing but illicit porn
and coke and naked chicks and just debauchery of all kinds.
Right, it's all about the pieces of lunch meat being thrown at bare ass.
Right. So, anyway, speaking of Daredevil Squadron and the back lounge, one of the members of the Daredevil Squadron has dared to come into the realms of the Classic Metal Show, so we want to welcome to the show Angus Clark. Welcome to the Classic Metal Show there, Angus.
Hail and kill.
Angus, I got to be honest with you. I think you're the very first guest that ever said that. That's true.
That is true.
That is true. So hail and kill to you, Angus. We're glad to have you on the show.
Good to be here, guys. And greetings from the DDS, Daredevil Squadron in the house.
Excellent. Well, Angus, I gotta comment on this back lounge song. I know you guys are like your metal. I noticed that you're influenced by the likes of AC/DC and Thin Lizzy and Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, but that particular song, Back Lounge, to me has a very Lynyrd Skynyrd-ish kind of a boogie beat sound to it. Is that how you look at it?
Wow, man! You're the first cat that called the Skynyrd reference, because I was just talking to Kurt Vanderhoof from Metal Church, and he said it had a Pat Travers vibe to him, and I definitely I loved like Boom Boom and Out Go the Lights and that kind of stuff, so I was like, I knew exactly what he was talking about with that. But I dig the Skynyrd reference, man. That's really cool. When we wrote it, my confession about writing it is that it's kind of I just thought, man, Bret Michaels needs a hot tune about riding on the bus for his show, for his TV show. I'm going to write a song that'll be like the perfect, icing on the cake for Rock of Love Bus. So I said, I threw together the lyrics for Back Lounge, and we were doing it with kind of a unskinny bop kind of a vibe to it, and which is not one of my favorite songs, but I figured Bret would be comfortable with it. And then Jason, the drummer, just goes, "No, let's speed it up and do it, Van Halen style and everything." And I was like, "All right, done." And we played it. The recording you heard is the second time we played the song ever, pretty much.
Nice. Now, do you really want to hear your song sung by Bret Michaels? That's pretty scary.
No, but I just, wanted to get it on TV. Is that bad?
Nice. Well, from what I understand, Angus, you have no problem with your other band getting attention. Obviously you are yet another of the spawn that plays in TSO, but that aside, Daredevil Squadron, very different from, the happy, wholesome vibe of your winter touring, huh?
Yes, it's my extracurricular activities from my winter touring job. Yeah, man, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, great band, great gig, great show for everybody to come out and see. And actually, there's myself. The Daredevil Squadron consists of myself, Andrew Ross, who sings with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Chris Altenhoff, who plays bass for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but who I've actually known for, I think, 12 years now. And Jason Gianni, our drummer, is drummer for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's in our backup band, which is essentially the understudy band, who are on call during the tour. And Aurélien Boudinek is a friend of mine, French, the Bordeaux Bandit French guitar player who resides here in New York City, who I think is going on tour with Vernon Reed next month or something like that. So,
well, dude, in reality, is there any musician out there that is part of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra these days?
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. Man, there's really it's just a handful. I think there's 4 of us touring, and there's 2 in the backup band, and same's true. Keyboard players, there's 4 touring and 2 in the backup band, 2 drummers, 1 in the backup band. So it's only about 24 people.
Only nice. Well, obviously, Angus, outside of TSO, man, Daredevil Squadron is a very different project. Much like other guys that are involved, John Oliva and Chris Caffrey and Johnny Lee Middleton. This is a different experience than what the average TSO person would hear. What made you decide to branch out and do something so that is so much of a left turn from TSO?
Well, I don't feel like it's that much of a left turn based on just what the dynamic in the band is while I'm out with TSO. I mean, our job as a band is to keep the rock alive on that stage. We bring the rock every night. So while what the TSO is a very large thing, and it it has a Christmas element to it, and it also it's very it's that Christmas tour. It is what it is. When we walk on the stage as a band, we bring the rock, and so me and Chris and Andrew are there on the tour, and we're just in the back lounge of the bus watching Iron Maiden videos, pretty much the whole tour. And I was just like, dude, let's do it. Let's rock. Let's do it old school, man, because that's what I grew up on. We're just all huge fans, and that's what we want to be a part of. I just did an instrumental record of my own called Your Last Battlefield, and that was me. If you listen to that, it's me paying homage to all the cats that inspired me. Sabbath, Richie Blackmore, Rainbow, David Gilmour and Pink Floyd. That's my stuff. And so I got done with that record. I'm going to do some shows in support of it, but then I was like, man, let's just do a classic 5-piece, 2-guitar band and just rock. And, as soon as we got in the rehearsal room with Jason, it was just like, done. It's just, it just kicks ass. And so I was like, Daredevil Squadron, that's it. And, like the whole notion, Daredevil Squadron, just being totally badass at what you do and kicking ass on everything that we do. We're just going to bring it to twin guitar leads and, Thin Lizzy style, Iron Maiden style, the whole bit. And it's going to be fun. I just want to rock. So that's the mission. That is the Daredevil Squadron's mission, and we will accomplish it.
Well, Angus, in this day and age with, everything being digital, everything digital downloads, and with, no record labels out there really, buying into new bands, and obviously you guys are veteran musicians. What is your motivation to, I get the thing about getting together with a kick-ass band and jamming and rocking out and stuff, but as from a commercial sense, is there any motivation commercially to do this, or is this just for fun?
Oh, I think the commercial horizons on this are wide open. I mean, I'm all into what's going on now. You're looking at a renaissance of metal right now. I played on the last Metal Church record that came out, and that, have you guys heard that?
Oh yeah, Ronnie.
What's that?
This Present Wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie and Jeff Plate and Kurt are good friends of ours personally. So yeah, we love Metal Church.
Love Metal Church. I remember being in college listening to God's Wrath on the radio and everything. Man, it was an honor to play with them on that record. And you see that record, the New Testament record, is awesome.
Sure.
And there's younger guys. You got Bullet for My Valentine are out right now, which is just, that record is pretty awesome. I don't know what you guys think of it. If you've been
Not so much.
What's that?
Not so much.
Not so much on that one.
All right. But I just see it as happening now, man, and I'm I'm just happy to be a part of it, and it's one of those things like, my career, I was in a band that was signed to Noise Records in like '92. We were on the same label as Halloween. I mean, I've been around the outskirts of this whole scene for the longest time, and I'm finally with like the best players I've ever been with, and I was just like, man, I didn't get to do it. I didn't wind up getting signed in the band I had, in my late teens, et cetera. It wasn't the right time for metal guitar and all that kind of stuff, and I wound up being a sideman, and I've had a great career touring. I toured the world with Guitaro, doing the New Age thing, which was kind of like Pink Floyd with no singer, pretty much playing guitar solos all night with the Badass Light Show. And from that, I would get the TSO gig. I've been doing that for 8 years now. I mean, I can't complain about my career at all as a guitarist. But in terms of having a band where it's 5 guys and it's like, let's do this, let's rock out, let's do that, it's kind of like coming back around to it. And whatever's happening with the business, I don't know, man, the rock will thrive. I mean, that's what you guys are about, I'm assuming.
Well, we unfortunately, from the commercial aspect of it, we're miserable failures, but we do it nevertheless. Been doing it for 13 years, and we don't really see any end to it, but we certainly don't line our pockets at all with this, what we do on the Classic Metal Show. But as far as, putting a band together and, getting out there and promoting it, you must have, being with the connections you have with TSO and playing on the big stage. I mean, we know Chris Caffrey real well. He's a good friend of the show. And he's
awesome. His new record is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's told us how well you guys do out on the road, accommodation-wise. Is it something that you want to do? Pack up the van and go from club to club and play these songs or do you really think that you can, I don't know, be an opening act for like a larger band like say a Van Halen or an AC/DC? Or you think you secure that opening gig? I mean,
dude, I've only had 2 rehearsals with this band so far. I don't even know about that. I gotta find out. I mean, there's part of what's good and bad about, the new media is that there's no way to make money off of your getting played on a computer. So you gotta go play live. But you can get, your exposure all over the world by getting your music played on the computer. So it's all about being strategic, I'd have to say. If I was to look at a game plan right now, it would be, get some more songs in the can, see what I can do about getting a record made, and look at booking some slots, opening slots for the European festivals for next year, and that would be just through connections, to get on those stages and try and sell as much merchandise as possible, get exposure that way. And
Sure.
Then I'd have to do regional gigs here in the Northeast for a while, and then look at the possibilities of doing anything outside of the Northeast. But the basic rule with any kind of touring is unless you're attached to somebody's opening slot, which is not really something I'm, yeah, you're right. Jumping back in the van after this amount of time and at this stage of the game is a difficult thing to do. So, but you really don't go play any place that you don't have support of some kind. That I don't know that aren't going to be people showing up just to see me and the Daredevil Squadron and know who I am, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all a matter of getting your press done in advance, out doing the right show for the right audience.
Sure.
But yeah, I spent my time in the van, man. I went all the way across the country, and damn if that thing didn't break down in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and Denver, Colorado, and I had the sound guy from the Buffalo Rose fix it for me, and Naked Sun did all that stuff, bro. And I did similar with the band Drill, which was on A&M. It was me and JD, who's in the Black Label Society now. We did the band stuff, man. I'd done it all over, so I'm no stranger to it. I don't relish going back to it, but you got to do what you got to do.
I think Johnny Lee Middleton put it best when we had him on about a month ago. He said, unless there's catering, he's not leaving his couch.
Middleton always manages to he manages to crystallize my thoughts eloquently.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love that man dearly. He and I did, I think, 6 years together on the TSO. So,
that's cool, man. So Angus, obviously with Daredevil Squadron being a band, and you've obviously had experience in the past in actual bands as a band member versus what TSO is, which is a grand project, I guess. I mean, it's much bigger than a band. It's not the Rolling Stones. It's an event. It's not a band per se.
Well, we feel like a band when we hit the stage, but from a business structure, you'd have to call it something else. But 9 out of 10 bands that are signed to record deals these days are just, one person is actually has their name on the record deal. So I think we're just larger scale, probably. Sure. Would be the best way to say it. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to ask is, is with Daredevil Squadron being a band, and you're putting it together and you're rehearsing it and getting ready to take it out there, and obviously with your skills in the past, you're obviously an accomplished enough guitar player to get a gig in like a TSO and your previous bands, and obviously working with Metal Church, they're not going to put some hack player on their record. With that being said, does it make you just crazy when you see total hacks, I don't know, Mick Mars or CC DeVille making millions of dollars summer after summer?
Oh man, I'm not gonna hate on cats that didn't go to music school that are making money. Come on. I'm trying to think of who I could actually pick on as a complete hack that's making a lot of money. I'm trying to
And those two don't qualify?
Well, I don't know. You got to give it up to Mick Mars. He's got a huge tone. Come on, that's a big ass sounding guitar.
He does play well for a corpse. I will give him that.
I won't say anything about the other guy you mentioned, though. We'll just leave it at that, all right?
Very nice. Well, dude, I know we're playing around, man, but what does your year look like as far as the ability to get out there and do Daredevil Squadron? I know there's the TSO record. Are you part of that? And obviously there's the TSO tour later in the year. Right.
Yeah, the TSO recording process is long and arduous, and we've got. I'm just essentially right now just waiting to hear about the dates for getting in there to do some guitar tracks. That'll probably involve about a week, and then the rehearsals for TSO are traditionally start up about the second week of October. So you pretty much have the time at your discretion up until then. So I'm right now we're just cranking out. We did Back Lounge and Out of the Sun, which is, I don't know if you've looked at that one, but it's a little more rainbow, Deep Purple influence kind of a song, and
sure.
And we've got 3 more that we're cranking out right now, and then we're Daredevil Squadron's going to we got to do a couple more writing sessions and figure out what the rest of the set looks like. And I'll probably start playing that out in June, and get a bunch of footage and throw it on YouTube and stuff like that, and get the promotion machine working on that one. I got a couple more things with Trouble Club to record and produce, which is kind of a power pop trio.
Okay.
With the bass player that played on my solo album that just came out on Your Last Battlefield, which is currently available on iTunes. Pemberton Roach, the bass player, and I have a band called Trouble Club, and we'll be doing some more tracks this year. I've got, I have like 2 or 3 other projects in the works that are kind of on a back burner right now. One is with Tuesday, the lead singer of an LA band called the Chelsea Girls, which is pretty. Right now they're just doing covers, but I'm sure they're going to do something. They're phenomenal. But Tuesday and I have co-written a bunch of kind of rock opera stuff of our own that we've got. So I have all these other projects in the hopper. A lot of it's songwriting and production oriented. I love working with other artists and producing them, and promoting my instrumental record. And, most of this stuff is up on AngusClark.com, so if anybody's really interested in what else is going on, they could definitely check it out. And then I just know come October 15, bam, it's going to be TSO time. So probably about the first week of October, I'll be woodshedding the tracks from the year before, and they'll be sending me tracks of anything new that's going in the show. And damn, got to get those 16th notes happening.
Right.
No. Just when I was gearing up for the audition, man.
Very nice.
I was crazy.
That's cool.
My wife was like, "What are you listening? You're doing this again? What?" Gotta live and breathe it. Yep.
I hear you, man. Well, Angus, I got to ask you the same question that I've asked both Chris Caffrey and Johnny Lee Middleton. When you were coming up as a musician, did you ever in your wildest dreams think that you would be on stage in a tuxedo playing for, kids from 5 to 80 years old?
No. Did Middleton tell you the story? He loves telling the story about the first shows.
No.
Oh, man, just because I joined in 2001, so they already done it for 2 years before I started, and so in '99 when they started, they did the first year, and he told me they rehearsed it. And they had the tuxes and everything, and then they're all ready to go out for the first show. And, he'd been in Sabotage for years at this point. Johnny Lee, you don't crack a sweat.
Right.
For nobody about nothing,
Right.
And he's standing there side stage with the tuxedo on, like, did anybody, thinking to himself, did anybody show up? And he tells me, man, my knees were shaking.
Nice.
I would have paid to see it, because it's just like, man, we came from that. When I joined, we were still doing theaters, and now it's nothing but arenas. And it didn't take but 2 years after I joined for it to be nothing but arenas. So.
Well, that was the missing key element, obviously.
Yeah. But, man, I just can't believe it. And we're lucky. We're just privileged and lucky, and I'm just glad to be there. It's a great organization, a great show, and, I can't say enough good things about it. And I can't say enough good things. I basically have the gig because Marty Friedman recommended me. So I got to give props to Marty for that as well. So it's just, it's been a great thing. I'm glad it came down the way it did. Yeah, I couldn't have even guessed that it would have happened that way, but here I am, and I love it.
Well, Chris and I are very familiar with the history of TSO, being that they broke big in Cleveland, in the get-go, and the local radio station there, WNCX, and their longtime DJ, Bill Lewis, was really behind TSO, and they did. Chris, how many shows had TSO been doing early on? They were doing like 5 and 8 and 10 shows.
It's like 10 shows the second year. I mean, the first year, not a whole lot, but the second year, they did like 10 shows or some ridiculous number. It was crazy.
Yeah. I know, it's amazing.
And then they just went 60 miles to the east to Youngstown and did 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they did like 15 shows just in the Cleveland, Youngstown area.
Well, even this year, Angus, didn't you guys play, I think, something like 7 shows in Cleveland in 3 days or 4 days or something like that?
Gosh, I would have to look at what the East Coast band's schedule was. The funny thing about that is that, when we get the touring schedule, we get the number of shows. You get a list, and it has the number of shows, and it has the capacity of the venue, and the number of shows you do in a day. Sometimes you do 2 a day, so it tallies all up. Oh, and then it has the mileage to the next city, and it tallies all up at the bottom of the sheet. And so you see the number of shows you played, the potential number of people, and the number of miles that you drove. And everything's pretty much the same, except the East Coast band does about a quarter of the mileage that the West Coast band does, because of the nature of America. The cities are so spread out, west of the Mississippi. So while they're setting up camp in Cleveland and spending the night in the hotel, we're like on a 10-hour ride between El Paso and Lubbock or something like that. So I always feel like those guys are a little bit fortunate for having that schedule, having the shorter drives and stuff like that. But God bless the people of Cleveland and Youngstown and Cincinnati and everything in Ohio that's made the TSO what it is. I think it's just tremendous, But West Coast is no slouch, man. Wisconsin gives it up big time for the TSO, and Portland, Oregon, the Rose Garden up there, man, we sell that place out, and we just have tremendous fans all over the country. So it's an awesome experience. But yeah, there's no doubt about the debt that the TSO owes to Ohio and their support early on for what we do.
Sure. Well, Angus, you got the new project that you're working on here, which is the Daredevil Squadron, and you got a couple of songs over there at your MySpace, and people can go over there and check those out. Those obviously not a finished product, but more or less just something to whet the appetite of curious listeners. Yes. Yeah. We're just cranking out the tunes. More of a hip-hop marketing plan, man. We make them and we put them right out there for you. You know what I'm saying? Sure. We'll show up there 10 a.m. By 5 o'clock. We got a song for you. We'll put it right out on the MySpace page. Excellent. For the Daredevil Squadron. Excellent. All right, Angus. Well, is there anything we haven't covered with the Daredevil Squadron and obviously TSO and your website and all that good stuff? Anything you want the fans to know that we haven't touched on? No, that's pretty much it. I just appreciate you guys, Neely, Chris. You guys are great. Thank you for keeping the rock alive. Appreciate the Classic Metal Show and what you guys are doing, and thank you for your support. And for the fans that are interested, go to AngusClark.com and check it out, or MySpace.com/Angus Clark, or MySpace.com/Daredevil Squadron. Check out the new tunes. We got some metal for you, and let us know. Show some love. Send us a comment or friend request or whatever. Be a friend. Be a friend. Right. Friend me. All right, so really nice talking to you guys. All right, Angus. Well, before we let you go, we need to ask you the traditional Classic Metal Show question. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career? Lemmy, how has he influenced my career? Ace of Spades, bro. It's all about the Ace of Spades. And can I tell you a quick Lemmy story? Please do. Got a second? Please do. Okay. So when I'm in Naked Sun, we're at some miserable rock club in New York, and
we had a fan, Naked Sun had a fan from Japan, and she sent us a picture of herself sitting on Lemmy's lap. And so we're like, why would she send us a picture of her with Lemmy? We didn't get it. So we go to this rock, I don't know, Danceteria, someplace in New York. And there's Lemmy, and I guess most of Motorhead are hanging out there at the club that night. And so we tell him, we're like, yeah, some girl, I can't remember her name, she sent us this picture. And we had her name there, though, then, and he's like, oh, yeah, nice girl, like this. And we're like, okay, cool. So the guy who's hosting the night at this rock club is like all jazzed that Motorhead are there. And he's like, we got some special guests. We're going to bring them up right now. We've got Lemmy from Motorhead. And, one of his guitar players or something. So he puts the microphone up, and he just sets it up there just like a normal person would sing into the microphone, Mm-hmm. And so Lemmy is standing at the side of the stage, and he won't walk on until the guy has put the microphone in, the Lemmy position, So he says to the guy, he goes, you gotta put it up. And the guy's like, what? And the guy doesn't know. The guy's never seen Motorhead, doesn't know. He's all jazz Motorhead there, but he obviously doesn't know anything about him. So I'm just like, what a, D-bag. What the heck? And he's like...
Hey, watch the language there. It's a family show.
So Lemmy just keeps saying, he goes, put it up. You gotta put the mic up. He just keeps saying it over and over again. And then finally somebody else walks up there and puts the mic up in the Lemmy position, and then he walks out and he does Ace of Spades, and everybody was happy. But I just thought that was hilarious. I was just like, come on, dude, you gotta know how to put the mic for Lemmy.
I think you've coined a new phrase there. Put the mic in the Lemmy position.
Nice.
I think that's a new one on us. I mean, we know how it goes, that Lemmy, he screams up into the mic, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone phrase it. Put it in the Lemmy position.
Exactly.
Very nice. All right, Angus, you've been a good guest, and look for Angus and his new band, Daredevil Squadron, out there on the road somewhere this summer. And check out their MySpace for more updates, and check out AngusClark.com for any more updates on what he's doing, and yada, yada, yada. So, Angus, you want to pick a tune and take us out of the interview with it?
One of mine?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's go with Festival from my new record.
Okay, and what's the story behind that?
Oh, well, it's from Star Trek, the original series, the last of the Return of the Archons episode, and where everybody all acts normal until about 6 o'clock, and then it's like, Festival, and everybody goes crazy and nuts. And that's what inspired this song.
Excellent. All right. Well, here it is. This is Angus Clark with Festival exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Thanks for checking out the best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com.
The Classic Metal Show.